How awesome would it be to not have income tax? I mean, that is just absolutely crazy. Think of, quote unquote, the raise you would get because 20%, 15%, 30%, 40% of your check would then be yours once again. Trump keeps floating this idea of no income tax. That's absolutely huge. Now, this is not just a political stunt anymore. Remember, he's elected president. He doesn't have to say the talking points anymore. Remember, he's done promises made, promises kept, and so far he's kept a lot of those. Are we going to see a time when there is no income tax? Remember, there once was a time in America that we didn't have income tax. Think about all the bureaucracy and all the money we pay to everybody and everything to then just get flushed down the toilet. To be honest with you, again, why are we paying all these people to do these jobs when we would rather have our own income tax back? And remember, that's not a tax break. That just gives us the money back that we earned. We're going to talk about that today because where I believe we should look at a flat tax or a consumer tax, meaning if I buy something, if I choose to spend my money, then I could pay tax. But other than that, there should be no requirement for property tax or income tax because I'm not telling that money where to go. It's a wrong approach. Also, we're going to talk about Bill Gates back in the news. He said a lot of crazy things. Not only that, there's another country who is telling him he is not welcome anymore in their country. Are we starting to see the tides change where people say, you know what, I'm starting to wake up, it's a Trump effect, not for just America, but for other countries saying, we don't want him here because of the problems he causes. We'll talk about that. Also, two more things. We now see cases of H5N1. Remember, is Biden just that smart that he made this expenditure, remember, $500 and something million a few days before he left? Why would you think he'd make that? And all of a sudden, bam, we're starting to see the human cases now. It's crazy how these things are coincidence, aren't they? And then lastly, dealing with things like this. America is overprescribed of anti-anxiety, antidepressant, and more pharmaceuticals than any other country. Is that a problem? Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to our channel, please go down here and press subscribe. Ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up. It means the world to us, and we humbly ask that you do that. Remember, every time that you comment and every time that you are subscribed, of course, to our channel and you give us a thumbs up, you are entered into a giveaway. I know you think that's crazy, but our analytics tells us exactly how many comments you've made across the month, and we're able to put those in a random drawing, and you will be selected based on that. We give away things like our shirts, soaps, things from our farm, but then also things like Mud Water has a big giveaway this month. We're going to do a giveaway with Mud Water. We also have several other sponsors that give us a lot of things that we would love to give to you. So please, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Now let's jump into these stories. We're going to try to make this a pretty quick video because I want you to just get this all in real quick. First, let's talk about Donald Trump and the push of no income tax. There's a story that says, let's get this massive momentum behind him to the end of income tax. Donald Trump keeps talking about no more income tax. The income tax of 1913 he is wanting to disregard. As I said in my speech last week, this is him speaking about taxing American citizens to enrich foreign nations. I thought this was one of the best quotes of the night. We should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Now, here's why I want to really camp out on this. We get taxed. And you know all this talk about Honduras and Colombia. Do you realize they get hundreds of millions of dollars of our tax money because they cannot make it on their own? Now, do I mind helping any country to feed their people? No. But what happens is this becomes so one-sided. So actually what we've done is tax our population into poverty, giving our riches to other countries and not get anything in return. What, some coffee from Colombia? A quote-unquote good relationship? All it is one-sided. So here's what I'm saying. If we really want to see change and we really want to see no income tax, then we start bringing our money home. We start saying, just like Trump did this last week, $90 day hiatus, basically, on giving money to foreign agents in foreign countries. I want to listen to that quote one more time. That is such a good quote Trump said. The income tax of 1913, as I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich its citizens. So meaning we need to make sure that everything is not one-sided, that when we are buying goods from other countries, that they're buying goods from us, and that it's an even Steven playing field. That means American manufacturing, American jobs would be going again. Because guess what? Either countries would move businesses here, they would stop taking advantage of us, and we would allow them not to take advantage of us. That's honestly what's happening. And then we would make sure that, again, we're helping them out too, because we're trading off goods. But it's an even playing field versus one-sided like it is now. So the more Trump talks about this, the better. Now remember, this income tax thing came around the same time the Fed did. And again, we have the IRS, which he's already said he wants to make it the ERS, which is the External Revenue Service, meaning he wants them to go out and get these tariffs and get the taxes from other countries. And here's been the biggest pushback. You've had Democrats and Rhinos say, well, you can't do that. There's not enough money for tariffs. Well, if we cut 30 to 40 to 50% of our bureaucracy and quit paying all these people all this money in Washington, then there may be enough money to pay the things that we actually need. I honestly believe if you cut 30 to 50% of our workforce in America, like meaning Washington, D.C., bureaucracy, public workers, I bet you money you wouldn't notice one thing different because it's so much fluff. So I think Trump's on the right path here, and I think this is a good play. If you could get a 20, 30, 40% raise, would that help? Of course it would. Cutting income tax would do that. Now let's jump into some conversations about Mr. Gates. Kenya came out and states this: we cannot afford to trust the World Health Organization anymore. He's pulling out. Kenya is pulling out. Trump effect. The High Court has also now suspended Bill Gates from immunity of prosecution. Why would they tell him that he could be prosecuted now? Has he been doing some trials in Africa like we've heard for all these years? It's funny that they're saying, look, World Health Organization is not welcome, because what they do is use us as guinea pigs, and everybody gets immunity for it because what they feed us or they give us quote-unquote health. Actually, what they're doing is harming our individuals. So Kenya now has they've gotten a backbone to say, you know what? If Trump can pull out of the World Health Organization, I'm going to pull out of the World Health Organization. And we realize that it's causing us problems. Really, I want to look. 80% of the funding is from Bill Gates. So if they're having problems in Kenya, and Kenya's saying, I don't want to have any part of it anymore, and also what has happened to my people, no more immunity for Mr. Gates, that's a bold statement to say, well, all this experimental science and all this experimental global push is actually causing more problems for the people of Kenya. So what we're trying to show is the world, you don't need these people playing with your health as the guinea pigs, because that's exactly what they're trying to do here in Kenya. Listen to this too. Bill Gates now acknowledges that the Jeff Epstein list and his friendship was all alleged, and it was just blackmail, that he felt bad by it. It's amazing how many times he flew over there and had these meetings and discussed this, and he said he's foolish and stupid. I think the more that they're risking that list coming out, that Trump is threatening to put that list out, the more you hear these kind of people coming back and apologizing for it. So I think that was huge too. Another thing that you need to pay attention to Mr. Gates, all these doctors, all these doctors who are saying RFK cannot be the HHS. There's a Pence-funded group, and now we find out there's a Gates-funded group. Now, Pence-funded group is the bureaucracy of what they consider the quote-unquote conservatives. Don't let them lie to you. Go look at that board and go look at what their initiatives are. Most of it is just completely establishment lobbying. That's all it is. So the Pence-funded group is all about lobbying and keeping their funding for big players. The group, Jillian Michaels, who, again, her politics are crazy, but she likes Trump, and she's the fitness person from years ago. She actually brought attention to this, that a lot of this list of these doctors were fake. And a lot of it's not true. A lot of it's kind of hearsay. It's not real. Well, the truth be told is Bill Gates is behind the list. He's tied to the company called AstroTurf that has produced the fake names to keep RFK from actually winning the HHS cabinet role. Now think about that now. So we see that the World Health Organization is being banned out of countries. We see that his immunity is being taken away. We see that he does not want it in most countries. We see him now apologizing for past grievances. And again, we all make mistakes, but this is a pretty big mistake that you kept going back over there to the island. And then now we see that he is trying to fool with politics even more by producing fake names to get someone who we all voted for, which was Trump, his cabinet picks. One thing I think we've lost in politics is whoever the president is, no matter if we like him or not, if it's Obama, if it's Biden, if it's Trump, if it's Bush, if they were elected, no matter if we're not on the same side as them, I think that they deserve to put whoever they choose in their cabinet positions. Doesn't mean we like them. Like Obama's, I didn't like Brennan. I didn't like a lot of the people that Obama put in. But he was overwhelmingly, he won, beat McCain and Romney, which were both jokes. But what I'm saying is, there should be no pushback on who Trump wants in as this leadership when it comes to his cabinet. The crazy thing is this. The two people they're pushing back on the most is two liberals. Tulsi Gabbard and RFK are not conservatives. They have a populist move. They have a fact of freedom-oriented moving. But to be honest with you, they have been Democrats their whole life. And for the Democrats to say, no, we don't want these two people, what that shows is there is a deep establishment that they're not part of, and they don't want them part of it. Now, on the right side, look at Pence, the establishment, again, pushing against RFK and Tulsi. Why? Because, again, they're part of the bigger establishment. What you're seeing is politics playing out just like it always does. The difference is the Trump factor and the Trump effect. Just like Colombia yesterday. If we turn that plane around, Barack Obama or Joe Biden or George Bush would have said, look, they didn't accept them and we tried, like most politicians. We tried, don't worry about it, we'll just deal with it later. No, Trump says, it's going to cost you. Don't play around with me. They're going to get dropped off one way or the other. And bam, 10 hours later, while he was playing golf, he made a deal and it shut Colombia up. That is what leadership is. That's what Americans want. This is what Americans voted for. That's exactly right. We want this to take place. And I'm glad it's happening. I really am. I'm glad that people are starting to wake up a little bit. Now, let's go on to this new story with H5N1. There's 2 outbreaks happening. And here's why I say this is a big deal. Because if you remember, just a few weeks ago, Biden spent $500 million to develop these for the H5N1. What did he? Is he some brilliant guy that just knows so much more? Or is it just complete coincidence that he invested in that shot because he knew it was going to all of a sudden just take off? Breaking H5N9 bird flu variant found in U.S. poultry for the first time in a duck farm in California. Sad to say those ducks will probably not ever see the light of day again. Georgia, same thing. Poultry farms closed down. I told you I went to my local Walmart. Eggs were sparse. Chicken was none in existence. There was no chicken anywhere. Remember, chicken used to be what we consider poor man's meat. Chicken used to be a very economical meat for a lot of people to be able to afford because it gave a lot of food and it was a very cheap meal. Now, it's being taken away from us. New report says U.S. has had the first highly pathogenic, and this is from another report saying the H5N9, which is another variant that has hit California as well. So what we're seeing is the dangers of manipulation, the dangers of people like WHO, the dangers of experimentation and how now it's coming back to haunt us. And that again goes back to the fact of just the coincidence of Biden administration investing in this. That's why Trump is so hated, because he is so against all this happening. Until we figure out that sometimes people do not have our best interest at heart, including politicians, including your congressman, including your Senate. Until we figure that out for ourselves, I think we're always going to be the proverbial head in the sand situation. We have to realize that we're the only people that's looking out for self. I can go to Walmart and shop for groceries, but one day Walmart's going to realize they don't really care about my money as much as they care about someone else who is believing in a system, or whatever that may be with government too. So therefore I go and make my own grocery store. My own pharmaceuticals over here in the corner with homeopathy and with herbs. We have to learn that no one else is looking out for us like we think they are. Now, Trump is starting to do that. But remember, we can't look for Trump to do everything. We have to be the bird going out to get the food too. So when we see things like this is positive because we're seeing that Trump is pushing back on these things. Remember, there's still a bureaucratic class that's already had this stuff in action. Now we see a spread. Now we see the fact that they're pushing these. Doesn't matter if you believe in it or not, these governors of these liberal states may. Now, one other thing I want to bring up. One thing America has is it has everything that every country wants. I mean, we always have all the blessings and benefits of things. We have all the medicines that we need. We have all the technology. We have all the riches. There's a new report that scares me the most, I think, of all the things that we talked about today. Is of all countries, America is hooked more on antidepressants, anti-anxiety, and other medicines such as those as dependency issues. Why in such a prosperous, good nation, great nation, has everything that we need, that we've been hooked on something like this? Overprescribed, huh? Here's my plea, and then we're ending this video. There's a lot of stories that could cause fear and animosity and worry. But when we base ourselves in faith, we base ourselves in good family structures, we base ourselves with a good marriage, we base ourselves in a good church and a good community, then we start realizing we don't need some things that the world gives us. And when the world gives us problems, we learn to handle it better than just medicating ourselves. Scary things is this. Doctors now, I feel like, tell us how to get on medicine to make things better. But ultimately, medicine doesn't make it better. It's within. God gives us all this stuff to make us healthier and better. And we need to learn that again. I call this a lost generation because so many times we didn't pass down the knowledge that we should have passed down from our generations before. Well, that's where, like my family, I want to change that. I want my kids to understand the value of food, health, and being grounded in faith so they're not hooked on all these medicines. Most kids their age are hooked on some kind of medicine already. Adderall, ADHD medicines, all these Ritalins, all this stuff. And my kids are kind of blown away by that, but it's because that we've raised them different. Does that make my kids perfect? No, absolutely not. Does it make us perfect? No, man, I'm failing every day. But we have to strive for better than that we just over-medicate ourselves because woe is me. There's good things happening in our nation. There's still bad things happening in our nation. The thing is, as long as we keep our feet pointed in the right direction, grounded in faith, good family structure, good community, we'll be okay. Strive to do better. Look, I'm sweating still. I've been running this morning. I hate running. I've been outside working this morning in the rain. I don't like working in the rain at 4 o'clock in the morning. But why? I do it because I want my kids to understand the value of hard work, that we can provide food for us. We can provide health for us. And as long as we stay grounded in our faith, we will be okay. Guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless.